This episode, maintenance tips and tricks. Well, we've had great success with our tips and tricks shows. So, here's a couple of little ditties that you might not have heard of before. Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show. Home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros. Thanks for listening to another edition of the Handyman Pros Radio Show, where our goal is to help save you time, money, and aggravation on your home maintenance and repair. This edition's entitled Maintenance Tips and Tricks. And to help me explain, here's
the old tipster.
Johnny. Here's the old tipster, Johnny. Don't take any wooden nickels.
Yeah.
That was the first one he ever gave me.
Don't go swimming after a heavy meal.
Don't go swimming after a heavy meal.
Oh, yeah, Larry. So what's...
Tell me what's been going on this week, Johnny. That's what I'm supposed to say. It's right there on the script. I'm supposed to ask you what's been going on.
Well, when you have an older car and, one that you really can't get a lot of parts for anymore, so you kind of have to, persevere what you have and go with it. And
am I getting a Mustang story here?
No. You're getting the Aspen story. It's
okay.
All of a sudden I was driving with the dog the other day out of the vet, and my horn just starts to go off by itself.
No way. Folks, I have not heard this story. Keep going, John.
And and then it stopped. And then it would start again. So I've got an issue with that car where I can't get the part anymore, and it's called the clock spring, and it goes underneath the steering wheel, and that's how all your controls are connected to your car, because you're turning the wheel, right, and you're not wrapping wires in there. A long time ago, it used to be slipper plates. Not to get too detailed on this, but now since there's a jillion controls on that. On these new cars, they have what's known as a clock spring, and it's got a bunch of wires in it. It rolls itself back together, and out it goes, and as you make the turns. Well, that thing is broken, and I can't get another one. So my airbag and a couple other things don't work. So the lights are, but the horn is attached to it too. So over time, this thing is still, as it's breaking down in there, the wires must have been touching each other on the horn. So this thing starts to beep real fast, and then it goes slow. And so I'm like, oh man, I got to get under the hood and pull the relay. I couldn't find the fuse, so I pulled the relay on it, and here we are. So
and here we are.
I never could
use
it. Yeah. It's kind of funny. You go down the street. It's dangerous, I guess, because I don't have a horn, and you're hitting the wheel, right, trying to make the horn, because you're just conditioned. So there you have it. It's Johnny, a TMI moment. Too much information, but there.
Johnny,
you go.
Don't you have one of ththose stickers that says "horn broke, watch for finger"? Isn't that the one you have on the back of your car?
Actually, at this age, I'm going to get one of those. Those stickers on the back, for new drivers. Please be patient.
Please be patient.
Elderly.
Right. Elderly
idiot
driver
in the front. So
all right. Enough of that nonsense. Anyway, that's a good story, by the way, Johnny. I'm sorry to hear that happen. That's really whatever. It's one of those things, right? As you say, welcome to owning an older vehicle. Anyway, before we get started with our tips and trips show, we would like to ask you to like and subscribe our channel, both on the podcast and on YouTube. Folks, if you'd like to see us, we are on YouTube. You can see me shaking my head and laughing myself to death here while Johnny's telling the story about his horn, because you have to understand, I can see John driving down the road with his horn going off, and the dog, John has a very large dog that's, Cujo-like in some ways, and very strongly willed, let's put it that way. And anyway, I could just see the horn going off and Johnny just going, oh my God, what now, right? Anyway, be that as it may, if you would like to see us, we are on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel. It's Handyman Pros Radio Show. Please like and subscribe. It does help the algorithm send out information out to all the people that could use our information. We hope that is a lot of people, but our goal is to help save you time, money, and aggravation on your home maintenance and repair. Subsequently, we would like to spread the word. And if you help by liking and subscribing, leave us a review while you're at it. If you like it, please leave us a review. And it just helps to spread the word out there. there for us. And with that, John, what are we going to talk about for tips and tricks? We've got some good ones this time.
Well,
one we've done before, but we've got pictures.
Yeah,
So.
I had a pass. Yeah, right. I had passed this one along, but so let's get into it, Larry. I know you. This is always the fun part. So, folks, if you've ever painted doors, okay, it's always interesting, how do I flip it over? How do I get both sides? How do I, make this job about as easy as I can?
Exactly.
So you give a lazy guy a hard job and he finds the quickest way to do it. And Larry, you found a quick way to do it.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you.
Let me see if I can push up this picture here, and you can describe what we're looking at here.
So just let me put the backstory in there. So we're redoing one of my rental houses. We've had a turnover, and the house needs to be painted just in general. It's been 7 years since the house has been painted. It's time to paint the inside of the house. And painting the door, this particular house is a small house. I'm like, my God, could they put any more doors on this house? I mean, there are 11 doors on this 900 square foot house. And I'm like, wow, this is like a lot of doors. And it's a bit of a twofold story. The first part is one of the doors is a louvered door. And so I said to myself, I will never paint with a brush louvers again. I learned that when I was probably 20. Then I went down and bought a Wagner power sprayer back in the old days when they still went, right? And now they have HVLP. And long story short, we've already talked about this in another show, but I subsequently have burned up my about fourth one of these sprayers. And I actually went and bought a Harbor Freight, really inexpensive one. And I was getting ready to paint these doors. And I'm like, man, there's got to be an easier way than doing one side versus the other. And I was talking to a previous guest on the show. His name is Ryan Phelps. He's the Middle Georgia Handyman. And anyway, he's going, oh, well, he says, what I do is I stand the doors up on end and I take a piece of scrap wood and I tack the thing together, or I tack the two doors together and stand them up in kind of a V shape, right? And if you look at the picture, you can actually see where there is one door is tacked that way with a piece of scrap wood. Yep. And so the other thing is I had 11 doors to do, so what you see there is the one door that was the third one. But I said to myself, what happened was I was out in the yard spraying them, and thunder was rolling in, and I went to close. I went to move. I'd only done 2 of the doors this way, and I went to move them. And of course, it's very difficult with the thing on it. And I said, man, there's got to be a better way. And then I thought about it for a second, and I'm like, wait, I have the hinges. So I hinged the 2 doors together I just used one hinge, which, by the way, I marked. This is the other tip. There's 2 tips here. I forgot. There's like 3 tips here, but this is a hinge. When you take a door off a door frame, make sure you mark that door for what it is. I marked it originally on the hinges themselves. So I wrote, like, for example, right? I wrote master, just for example, I wrote one of them was master bathroom, master bathroom.
Yeah. No.
So
you got
mark each door with some kind of code, a number, whatever, right?
Oh yeah, because you learn that real quick when they don't fit.
When they don't fit right. Even though they look the same, they don't fit right. Yep. So number one, I marked that. So when I went to paint them, I'm like, I had written them on the hinges. Well, then I took the hinges off, marked it on the door itself. And then I went to paint them. And then I'm like,
so let me pause you a second there, just for our podcast listeners. What we're seeing here is 3 doors that are standing up straight up by themselves on top of, what do you have? Like a wood platform under there?
Actually, that's a door that I was replacing.
Okay, so you got 2 doors that are hinged together that are standing in a V, and then you've got a third one that's standing next to it, but you've got a scrap piece of wood going across the top of the 2 to the 1, so they can all stand up like they were standing in in the door frame. In a door frame. So you can just walk around these then and just paint them.
And paint them. And if you're using a brush or a sprayer, I happen to be using a sprayer.
If you're going to do these kind of doors, the sprayer is going to work. It's going to work the best. But just for the podcast folks, when they're standing up like that, you can get to all sides of them without worried about flipping them over and then getting paint marks all over the place and all that. And you can do a better job because you can see it, what you're doing.
And Case proven. Thank you, Johnny. I didn't even need to say that. There's all of that stuff goes along with it. And yeah, and then hinging them together, actually, if you do have to move them in a rapid case like the thunderstorms are rolling, because I did these outside because I was spraying. So, it was really easy to just move the hinges in. And plus, I was replacing the hinges anyway. So I used the old hinges and I just sprayed right over the top of the old hinges because it really didn't matter. It didn't matter. So keep a couple of old hinges if you don't have them, and if you're not replacing hinges,
there's a good little tip for you.
Yeah.
So, this really makes a lot of sense. I can. One of the things about painting stuff like this, painting doors and big flat surfaces like that, it's the space that they take up, and the amount of time it takes to like put them on two sawhorses. And then flip them over, and then you got to use little painter pyramids.
Yeah.
And and it's all this clumsy stuff going around when you can just take the time to do something like this, and then go to town on it, and you are done.
Especially if you have any kind of volume.
Yeah, and you are exactly. You're not just talking about one door, but when you're doing, this is really good. I like that.
Oh yeah, and Ryan was right on the money. And actually, to tell the rest of the story, he's helping me with this house. He comes into the house and he looks at it and he goes, "Dude, you used hinges. That's brilliant." I was like, "Hey, I had them." Like it was just like it's a me thing, right?
Yeah.
I was just like, I had them. They fit right in the knot. You screw them in with the same screws. Blah blah blah. It worked great. So he's like, "Wow, I learned something too," because he was always just taking the piece of wood across the top. Now, if you have an odd number of doors, it's tough to do it, and if they're hinged the wrong way, it's tough to do it too. But these just happen to really work out. So anyway, that's
a really good tip.
Johnny, you have a tip that you brought up that you were doing around your house, and you've got to tell the backstory on this one. We've probably done this tip before. If we haven't, we should have. But this one is I'm going to let you take it away.
I keep running into this, and that's not me. It's a lot of places I've been in, and that is aerators on the bottom of your faucets.
Yeah. Yep.
I am telling you that I have seen those things scum up so bad with black, whatever that's growing on them, because especially in our kitchen, even like the spray head that comes out for the faucet, the kitchen faucet.
Yep. Sure.
All those things are just like, man, they get clogged up with with black crap all the time, and I'm always cleaning that stuff with like a Tilex, like a strong bleach, So then I got to thinking, I wonder what the rest of the aerators look like that I haven't seen in a long time. Because when's the last time you looked underneath with your faucets, right? So, I take the aerators off, and sure enough, boy, there were just stuff is growing on there. So I guess, folks, I don't know if you have that problem too, but take a look at underneath your aerators, because one of my faucets, all of a sudden, I was like, this thing isn't, the water's not running out of this thing correctly.
It's not even flowing out right.
And,
right?
It wasn't because it was something got inside, it was on the outside. So anyways, easy to do, easy job to take care of, use a little bleach and an old toothbrush, and you're done in a couple of seconds. But man, I'll tell you what, getting a glass of water out of that faucet, and you think it's clean, and it's got that black gunk on there. So,
any idea what you think that black gunk is, Johnny? Is it mildew, or is it just?
It's not mildew. It's got to be some kind of it might be a mildew. It might be some kind of, I don't know. Algae.
It's not part of the interior gasket, is it?
No, not at all. No,
okay.
No. It's growing on the screen, on the bottom of the screen. So
it's probably mildew. It's probably just a little gunk.
Yeah.
It's just clean them. Yeah. Clean them off. I did it after Johnny said it, and I had a very similar experience. I'm kind of like, oh, I guess I should probably do this every once in a while. Now that could be a function, folks. We live in Atlanta, Georgia, outside of Atlanta, Georgia. And I have to say, this is a very hot and humid area. And so the what do they say? I mean, everything grows here. Like, we have pink mold that I've never seen in my life until moving here, and things like that. So we have an environmental situation that's kind of humid. We'll put it that way.
I would just, well, we're in an air conditioned space, but I would say, just take a look under there, just because
It's easy. It's quick. It's not
exactly.
It's only going to take you a
And
second.
man, getting a glass of water out of there with that, you'll be like, really, I've been doing this. No, it's probably
Honey,
not. They're probably not going to hurt you, but it doesn't make
toes.
it makes for nightmares. So, anyways.
All right. So there's that one. John, you had another one. This is a good one. And this is actually one. It's funny because it's very appropriate. I need to replace some exterior light bulbs, and I'm a big LED guy. So take this one away,
well,
Johnny. You've got picks on this one too.
And guess what? Now you can't buy Edison bulbs anymore. So LEDs, here we come. What I've noticed over the last, I think it's about 2 years now. Okay, let me set the stage on this. So I use a lot of outdoor. I have a lot of outdoor floodlights, and I've been using. I buy some really cheap LEDs, like in I'll just say it, Home Depot, the blue box ones. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. And it's not bagging on those.
It's not bagging on them, but I'm going to show you a picture of what happens. And this I've run into several times now. And what you're going to see in this picture is water in those bulbs, even though they're rated for exterior use.
Yep.
Okay.
They have filled up with water, folks. If you look at that picture, there's a water line about halfway across the, or maybe a quarter to third of the way up. There's a water line where that bulb is full of, or it's not bulb is kind of an understatement.
Right.
The lens is filled up halfway with water. Right.
Yep.
And Johnny, the bulbs didn't work at that point. Is that correct?
They didn't work. So, I went to flip the switch, right? And I'm like, oh man, I'm surprised the breaker didn't pop. But of course they're only, they're all down to, low voltage at this point, right? Where that's
right.
At. But, they didn't work. So, I did not seal these up, and that's my tip, is to seal these bulbs up and just run like silicone around where that lens, and Larry, that's a good point. It's a lens, really. Lens, it meets the really the body of the bulb, and seal that up.
So I want to ask you this question. You told me, and I just want to confirm that this is the case. You drained those bulbs
I did,
out,
because
and dried them out, right? Did
you
dry them out?
So what I did here is, since they were underneath what I thought was not a big water hazard, because it's kind of underneath the gutter, really.
Right.
But the water found its way in there anyways. Now, the way they were hanging there, I was thinking, well, they really haven't infiltrated the board, the LED board in that thing.
Right.
If you've ever taken one of these apart, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Right. You don't have to take one apart, but take Johnny's word for that.
So what I did, and those are just plastic lenses. I just drilled a small hole at the very bottom of where the water was sitting and let it drain out. And about 5 minutes later, they worked.
Yeah. So the point being is that it's actually a testament to that the bulbs are actually pretty good. They just need a little modification. That's all.
That's it. So don't take the manufacturer's word that these are exterior bulbs. take the extra little time and seal them up. You're going to be a lot happier. Now, here's the problem that I ran into, is that I didn't in the past seal these up, and I've got some that are just straight upward looking, that might be at a little bit of an angle. Now, once the water got into there, it infiltrated that board that's in there with the LEDs, and then they're done. Okay.
Yeah, then they're done.
But now, when I sealed them up with silicone after I screwed them on, to the stands and stuff like that, I haven't had a problem.
Okay. So, and when you're using silicone, what are you just using, like clear silicone that you buy down at the big box store? Like just a
and
G?
I just put on my finger and just scooped it around where that lens met the body of the bulb.
Did you use the sprayway, Johnny? Did you use the sprayway tip?
No. Yeah. Nobody's going to
Well,
see it. So
but I put it on my fingers to keep the silicone off my fingers. So, folks, there's another tip there. If you're ever putting clear silicone out or any kind of silicone thing, there's a product. It's a window cleaner that's non-ammonia based. I use Sprayway. There's another one. I can't remember the other one's name, but anyway, it's in a spray can. You spray it on your fingertips when you're doing silicone, and it's like using water on traditional. Yeah, it doesn't stick. It's magnificent.
Yeah.
So anything you don't want that silicone caulk to stick to, you spray Sprayway on it, and trust me, it won't stick. So that's a different tip, but we didn't mean to go there. But I'm just asking because I hate getting all that gooey stuff on my fingertips, and I always just spray my fingertips and then do it. It's a thing. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
No, that was my tip. I mean, so now I can buy cheap, these cheap bulbs. I mean, otherwise, some of these LEDs are really expensive, and
the outdoor ones are really expensive. They're like $20+ a piece.
That's what I mean.
Which is a lot.
And so it's like, man, I get it, but if I've got this trick and I've been very successful now with it, so way to save money. And some aggravation.
and some aggravation as well. And so my next tip is, speaking of aggravation, so I had a new HVAC system put in one of my homes, and they put in a 2-inch filter. Okay. And I like the thought that they put in a 2-inch filter because we get, of course, better filtration and this and that, until I went to replace the filter and couldn't find one. And this was really annoying. And this was a pretty common size. It's 16 by 20 by 2. And of course, I couldn't find the 16 by 20 by 2, but lo and behold, there were plenty of 16 by 20 by 1s. So what does Larry do in his eminent wisdom? That's right. Yeah. Put 2 in. So I took 2 1-inch filters and I slid them in. Now, when I go, the tip is that plus, and here's the plus. You definitely need to fill the space, because otherwise that thing moves up and down and air gets around it, and that's what you actually don't want in your HVAC system. So you want a good seal. And so what I did is, by putting 2 in, that fills the space and fills it up. Now, when I go to change the filter again, what I'm going to do is pull the bottom filter out, the bottom filter meaning where the airflow comes in. I'll pull that filter out, throw that one away, take another 1-inch one. I'll drop the one that's on the top down to the bottom, which it'll do that automatically anyway by gravity, unless the air conditioner's running, then the suction will pull it up. And then I'll slide the other one up in top. So I will continue to have a rotating tip, or a rotating set of filters that are clean, and I'm getting double filtration on my filters anyway, using 2 1-inch ones.
And that's not blocking airflow?
It's not going to block the airflow, because the airflow is going to be the same no matter what.
Yeah. So, because I know some of those thicker filters are like pleated filters.
They're big pleated filters is exactly what they are.
I've replaced some of those, the 4-inch big box ones, and we're talking $50 a piece, 60.
Yep.
It's like, holy smokes. But anyways, all right. Well, that's a good tip.
Yeah. Now, I don't think I would suggest putting 4 1-inch filters in.
No. Yeah. And that's what I was going to say. You don't want to impede, the airflow, because then you're going to. We've done a show on this before, and if you talk to HVAC guys, that's the number one reason of freezing up. So
of killing HVAC filters. But a two 1-inch ones are not good. That you're not going to achieve
those things
that kind
breathe
of
pretty good.
They breathe really, really well. Yeah. And so you'll actually, I know it works because I've done it. It's the second time I've done it in one of my houses, because one of my other houses has the same thing. And I got up, hate to say this, I got up in the attic and I'm like, and I always walk up with 2 because I buy the 2 packs, right? Because it's less expensive. So I climb up in the attic. I'm like, I got a 2-inch filter. So they both went in.
It is crazy of how many different. This is almost like a plumbing thing. There's so many different size filters. It's incredible.
It's incredible.
There's places on the internet that just make a living out of just
selling filters. Yeah. Because there's so many different sizes. Yep. And if you need a specialty.
Yep. And then they'll time it and they'll send you a new one. You pay for a subscription fee or whatever, and then they just keep sending you filters.
Which is not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea at all. Because there are so many different filters. It's like every time I go to the store, it's like, oh my God, look at that. Actually, it comes to mind. I was just there the other day, and I was walking down that aisle, and then I got to thinking, half that long aisle in one of these big box stores is filters.
Oh my God, it is. It is because there's so many. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Folks, we'll give you the saving time, money, and aggravation. If you want to create your own subscription, put in your calendar program, change HVAC filter. That's all you have to do, and then go do it. Just have it. If you want to do it every 6 weeks or every month or whatever it is, just set a recurring event and just do it that way. That's what I do. It makes it really simple. That way, I'm always reminded that I need to do it. And I don't get surprised. And around here, actually, because of pollen, we have huge pollen problems in Atlanta. I always change my filters like 3 times in the spring because it's disgusting.
There's a lot of places that have a lot of problems with that. Up north is the cottonwoods and wood. Man. Whew. Anyways.
Anyway.
I got another tip. Now, one of our listeners sent in a tip to us because one of our shows was the things we hate. So one of them was that these boxes, these electrical boxes, breaker boxes, and I'm showing it here for all the folks that are on a podcast. If you open up your breaker box, you'll know what I'm talking about. It's the stamped in numbers. You can't see them.
They're really tough to see.
You can see them in this picture because it's a picture, but when you're there, live, it's like, man, it's a struggle to try to match up these numbers next to all the breakers to what's on on the panel here where the electrician has marked it.
Right.
And you'll see how he marked it because in this instance he marked it so well that he transposed the whole thing. Look at that one's that one.
He transposed the numbers.
So
exactly.
So anyways, one of our listeners said, "Hey man, use a paint pen." And I'll be damned. I ran right out and bought one because I hate this. And here it is that I just ran that paint pen down, just to fill in those stamped numbers.
The stamped numbers,
and then wipe it off, and then you can, now you can see this thing.
Yep.
And it makes it a heck of a lot easier. That when I open this up, and this is down at our pool, the HOA stuff, but I'm like, now I can see what's going on.
Yeah, you can actually see the numbers. It's funny you say that, John, because we were just over looking at one of the boxes, one of the electrical boxes. My wife's like, "What's the number?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah,
exactly.
They're right. Same thing, right?"
Yeah.
So now I'm going to go get one of the paint pens and do the same thing because it is true. They're really hard to see, and so it is what it is. So
and speaking of electrical, Larry, I want you to take a look at. I want you to figure this one out here. So
wow, Johnny, that's what not. Whoa.
Larry, did you wire this up?
Thanks for that one. Yeah.
What I do like about this picture, is amongst all this electrical stuff, which it looks like it's all telephone wires and stuff. But look they got like a thing right here with a funnel, water coming out.
Oh, nice. Yeah, nice.
So
there are some amazing pictures I've seen online of some of these things, like where electric is run through, through, and oh my God, unbelievable! Like whoa. So, all right, Johnny. Well, Johnny, I have a question. Has the spaceship ever given you any good tips and tricks while you've been taking it apart?
This last picture came from the spaceship.
I knew it. They
were looking for some organization.
They were looking for some organization. All right, folks, with that signifies the end of the show. But please, can you do us a favor? Can you like and subscribe to our podcast and or our YouTube channel? We are trying to spread the word. We're trying to get the algorithms to actually give us a hand, and your liking and subscribing and leave us a review while you're out there as well really helps us to spread the word. We hope we are bringing you value. And with that, we also have the ability, if you would like, send us an email, questions@handymanprosradioshow.com. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, and we actually do respond to them, and or we make shows out of them. So you've heard several tips today came from some of our listeners and from some of our people that we know and things like that. And so we really appreciate your feedback, because you guys have as many good ideas as we have. Trust me, it just kind of is what it is. Johnny?
Oh, that's it. And hope everybody has a great week. And we'll see you next time on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.